Welcome to the Building Interest podcast presented by Leader Bank. In Season 2 of the podcast, we are exploring what it means to be a leader through conversations with leaders from the bank, from within the communities we serve, and from across the banking and technology industries. Each conversation will focus on our guests' personal leadership journeys and provide insights on what it means to be a good leader. In our last episode, we were joined by Leader 1031's Vice President Western USA, Kayla Furking, to discuss her leadership journey as well as the challenges of launching a new product at the bank in a new target market. Today, I have the co-founders of the Hult Undergraduate Investment Group, Alejandro Suarez-Cordova and Sahil Dhir, here to discuss the founding and goals of their organization, their personal leadership journeys, and the impact that immigration has had on their growth and success as leaders. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you for having us.
Always a pleasure. So let's set the scene here a little bit. I've met you, Sahil, through work, obviously, and you've recently joined Leader Bank. But this episode isn't about your work at Leader Bank. This is about something completely different and leadership you provide in another area with your colleague and friend Alejandro here. So let's set the scene a little bit. Walk us through how you two first met and kind of how and when you decided that you wanted to collaborate and build something together. How does that happen?
I think I'm going to kick us off.
Yeah.
So
go for it.
We met in September 2019. We met in our dorm rooms pretty much.
Were you roommates?
Yeah, no, not roommates, but
Okay,
we lived one
hallway.
room away.
Okay.
So we met in the hallway. And I always saw Sahil as a nice guy, but that was it. We had a couple of classes together, but that was it. Nevertheless, I saw that he was like a very energetic guy, and I always like that. I like when people are energetic. And then I saw that he was sharp. He was always looking, to participate in class, to do extracurricular activities, and that was like, okay, I like this guy, so I'm gonna start speaking to him. So we met each other, and it was great, like I saw that we shared a lot of vision for the future. He liked seeing things long term, as I do, and he had a passion for business. Like, we didn't know exactly what side of the business industry, what side of the business world, but we knew we wanted to work in really high performance and challenging industries. So I think that created a good bond between us.
Yeah.
Did you see the same thing coming, or did he come out of left field and say, hey, you're this energetic guy, I want to start hanging out with you?
No. So I think since day one, I was impressed how disciplined he was. I think, like he said, the values we shared commonly was his ability to look longer term and see the bigger picture. And I think that is something that brought us closer. And over the years, we took some classes together. And I specifically remember the entrepreneurship class we took from our professor, Professor Bruce McKinnon. He was himself a graduate from Harvard MBA 1980 class. And so his classes were pretty competitive. But Alejandro came prepared every time for assignments. He was very presentable. And I knew that he had a deep understanding of business and he was destined to success. So definitely had that vision. And we kept it all together.
So for those who aren't familiar with Hult, this is a business school here in the Boston area?
Yes, it's a business school. It's owned, and I think the parent company of it is Education First. And Education First is actually a very big organization, big presence in Europe. They do travel, language courses, and it's located near Museum of Science.
Yes.
So
you guys have a couple classes together. You see each other all prepared and energetic and ready to go and dive in. Did you work on projects together, or how did you decide that working together and not just seeing each other excel separately was a thing?
I think it came all to the pandemic. Like, during the pandemic, I took a gap year. So I was in Mexico City, and Sahil was here in Boston. And I knew I wanted to do something productive, because I am the type of guy that always wants to do something productive.
So you take a year off only to not take it off, but to do something.
So I took exactly. So I took the year off because my parents told me, hey, we send you to the U.S. so you could leverage all of the beautiful things that being abroad offers to you. Like meeting a lot of people, networking, getting out of your comfort zone. So what's the point of having you there if you're studying online via Zoom? So why don't you take a year off, then wait for the pandemic to ease, and we send you back. So I said, okay, let's do it. I'm on for it. Nevertheless, I'm the type of guy that doesn't even like to take holidays. I'm not kidding. Like during winter break, spring break, I just need 3 days off, and then I'm ready to go, ready to rock and roll. So I said I want to do something new, something big, something that will help us to develop ourselves for our careers and have an edge against other students within the greater Boston area. So I said I need a guy that's like really committed, has a lot of energy, and that is willing to work like late nights, doing this extracurricular project. I just called him. I said to him, I have this idea. You want to join forces? And I laid to him, like I put cards on the table. Okay, so it's not going to bring any benefit in the next 6 months, but if we do it appropriately, it's going to bring us a lot of good things, at least in the next year.
So this came entirely out of your own vision. This wasn't like a professor-sponsored school project or anything. This is just you guys saying, we need to do something more, and deciding to form, what is it called? The Hult Undergraduate Investment Group.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like we had some inspiration from Harvard. I have a Harvard friend that was part of Hult Undergraduate Capital Partners, and I like what they were doing with students and with guest speakers. I saw that they brought a lot of prominent guest speakers, and I remember I saw how in the middle of the pandemic they were able to bring Dr. Robert Langer, co-founder of Moderna, to speak at their club. So I was sitting in my room and saying okay, if this guy that lives 1 mile away from me brought Dr. Langer in the middle of the pandemic, I will do it as well. So we created the prospectus for the group. We created this speaker series called Leaders of the Business World. And I sent a letter to Dr. Langer. I cold emailed him, and 3 minutes later I received an email saying, let's do it, I'm on board. And we started rolling like that, and we received a lot of resources and energy from our institution. They support us a lot, and that's how we started pretty much.
That's really amazing, and especially that fast response.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, it sounds like you were kind of just a loose club of friends, though. Was there any kind of formal structure really to this? Did you start as like a club among friends, and now you're a formal organization with leadership and bylaws and things like that? Or what does this investment group look like?
No, so I would want to say a quote here: "Perception of reality is stronger than the reality itself." And our perception of reality for the club was to do great things, to leverage networking here in the greater Boston area, and to, leverage the ecosystem that we have here for universities like Harvard, MIT, and we were competing with the students that studies there. So, our goal was to do great things. We started as a, student-run organization, but we always had in our back of our mind that this can grow. This can be a business itself, not a business that's going to produce money, but a
development business.
Yeah, but a business that's going to have you exposure to networking, making your connections, and learning about financial service industry. So, that's what our perspective was, and I think it pretty much worked out for the best.
Yeah, and as far as the structure of the club, I said to Sahil, okay, I want to be president. Okay, I want to be president as well, so we're co-presidents, co-founders, co-presidents. Then we started recruiting people, and I said we need to get a student board, but we need people that are really committed.
Yeah.
Because what happens with projects is at the beginning, everyone's excited and everyone's ready to go. But as time goes by, people start to lose that excitement and that determination, and that's how things die, right? So I said I need really, really, really committed people. I'd rather have someone that is really committed and not so knowledgeable of the financial services industry, rather than having a genius from the industry but not committed.
Yeah.
So we started recruiting people, and we had a friend, Leslie. She was really good at finance, and she had these ease to go with the school and bring funds and things like that. So she was the VP of finance. Then we had an Italian friend, Pietro. He's really good at networking. He has a lot of connections in other universities in the U.S. and also universities in Italy. So he was the VP of External Partnerships. And then we had another friend from India, Dhruvan. He was a day trader, and he wanted to be the head of our paper trading. Because just to clarify, we always did paper trading for legal reasons. So because yeah, also we needed to be pretty clear with the club structure, because we're a student-run organization, and a lot of people could get confused and maybe think that it's a real company, a real fund, but no, it's a student-run, not-for-profit organization. So.
But you set it up with a structure and a vision that's akin to a real business. It wasn't just this loose club of people hanging out in the dorm at night. It was really set up, like you said, with roles and specific goals in mind. So how does that work? Who can join?
So that's the thing. We every fall we open up applications. Within
the undergraduate class at Hult, or is it open to others as well?
Within the undergraduate and graduate class at Hult, and for other people from other universities, we have these roles called external advisors. So if you want to be an external advisor and cooperate with the club, you can, but it's a different process. But as far as for members within our institution, we basically wanted to do it as if they were applying for an internship within the industry, because we know how tough it is to apply for internships in the financial services industry. And we wanted to show them, okay, you need to start practicing. So we created like this process as if they were applying to Deutsche Bank, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley. So we created like this application. They had to write an essay. They had to send us a resume.
You guys sound like business mentors that have been doing this for 30 years and are trying to give back to the community, and yet you are yourselves the students.
Yeah, so
it's fantastic.
I mean, we always took it like very serious, because we, as we said, like we know we're competing against the most brilliant minds in the country. We know that Boston is the most talent competitive city in the world. And I mean, like the track record, internet was invented here, the telephone was invented here. Mark Zuckerberg was a student when he founded the $1 trillion Facebook. So we always knew that we needed to act as if we were like not only students, but like real businessmen per se.
So you do all this planning. What sort of obstacles do you run into along the way? Did people try to stop you? Did you try to go faster than you should have? Did you run into any roadblocks? Or
Before you start, I think it's worth mentioning that I was in Mexico while we were doing this process, and Sahil was in Boston. Yep. So every day we had calls at night, and we had like our objectives. We have like the short-term objectives and the long-term objectives. And basically, Sahil was the operations guy. And that's why one of his first roles was being, like also vice president of operations, because I couldn't do anything because I was not in Boston. He was the guy who, like, we made a consensus and we got the idea, and he executed the idea within the school. So we created the logo, we created everything, the prospectus, we showed it to the school. And then they said, okay, this looks like a real company for us. And now our name is at stake. Yeah. So it's a no-go for us.
Yeah.
Also, right off the bat, they didn't want their name on it?
No. So
but their name is on it now. So how do you get around that?
No. So like Alejandro said before, we were inspired by the Harvard Undergraduate Capital Partners. And they are now a student-run organization that manage real fund, connects VCs, operations, towards the expertise of the students as well. So we kept our name as Hult Undergraduate Capital Partners, getting the motivation from them. On the first go, they did not pay more attention to the prospectus that, the name doesn't matter, but this is what we want to provide. But then we had to change the name, and we kept Hult Undergraduate Investment Group, so it does sound like it's a non-profit organization, which it is. And, it's a student-run organization. And then, like you said, first time they rejected us, and then we had to...
Actually, the name didn't include the undergraduate.
Yeah.
It was just like Hult Capital Partners. I was like, no, it looks like a company. Add something else. Okay, undergraduate. And then we had the logo, like the Hult logo. And they say, like, you can't use the logo. You have to change it because it's trademarked and everything. Okay, so I remember I went to PowerPoint and I looked to very similar fonts. So I created like the Hult name with a different font, different size, different everything. Even like the space between letters, it was different. But I made like Exhibit A and Exhibit B with the real logo, and I show them with centimeters and millimeters, like the difference. So the Hult real logo is like the spacing is 0.10 centimeters. For us, it's 0.07. And
that was good enough for them.
Yeah, it was good. Like for legal reasons, it was good for them.
So it's recognizable but acceptable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So also for our website, we had to include like in every single like page that we're a not-for-profit student-run organization with a link to Hult Business School.
So now you started this, you put in all your VPs and folks. By the way, the folks that you mentioned before, your friends, you mentioned Leslie and Pietro and things. Are these also students, or are these people in the working environment?
All of us are students.
All of you. Okay.
Yeah.
And so this is all happening now. How has this evolved since its creation? How many people are members in your group now?
We have like 86 members.
Wow.
Yeah. 86 members, and
they can't all be co-president VPs.
No. They're just like, we actually gave them titles, so they're analysts.
Yeah. Okay.
And if they perform,
again, just like a real business.
Exactly. Yeah. And if they perform, they will be promoted to senior analyst, and if they perform, they actually have the possibility to apply to be part of the board.
Okay.
And because we have to pitch them the idea, we have to sell them the idea. We sell them the idea. It's like we like to be brutally honest. We don't like to butter up things. So we're honest and it's like, look, buddy, like, you wanna join one of the most challenging industries in the world. Like, the acceptance rate of an internship in Wall Street is 1-2%. It's even harder to get into one of those internships rather than getting into Harvard. So you have to put in the work and you have to show extracurricular activities and other things. So if you have that on your resume and you say, I did this and I was able to support the speaker series, I was able to perform and to support the paper trading team, it actually will help you to land that internship, because even though you have no experience within the industry, it shows the level of commitment you have.
Are you already seeing, I know it's just been a few short years, but are you already seeing any of your members graduating out and having an advantage getting into the business life post-graduation?
Yeah.
And I'm not just looking at you.
No, definitely. I mean, every member took an advantage from the community we were able to build. The community we wanted to build involve people having the passion for it, having the passion to share things and learn from each other. And I think that's one thing that we were able to set up. So you
really gave them a credential going forward that they could take to a job interview and say, I did this.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, it was practical learning. Whatever you were doing within the walls of Hult International Business School and being part of Hult Undergraduate Investment Group, it was practical learning. It was learning from our mentors. We had few of our professors advising us, because this industry is competitive. You need to build credibility. You need to have your name in the industry. But as fellow students, we did not have the credibility or the expertise to, go dive in and, perform something that was different. So, this idea came across that, let's have our professors that have been part of this industry for a long time. So we proposed them that, why don't you advise us? So we had three professors that advised us, Mr. Michael McCarthy, Professor Robert Neer, and Professor Philipson. And I think that just gave us a boost up. They were helping us to look into the right direction, to follow a direction that would, expose us to the industry itself. They brought in their own connection as well for us to get started. So, that was a huge help. And I think that's how we started things off pretty much.
And for those professors, why we chose those three, it was pretty strategic, because Professor Robert Neer He is a professor of law at Columbia as well in New York, and he has started several businesses. So we knew that we had to cover the legal area with him. So whatever arises, whatever we want to consult him regarding something in legal terms, he was the guy. Then Professor Michael McCarthy, he had a lot of experience in Wall Street managing money. So, he's really good at networking, and he's really good at approaching people and creating relationships and synergies. So he was the one that helped students to sharpen up those skills, And then we had Professor Philip Son, who is the co-founder of a small hedge fund here in Boston. And we knew that he was the numbers guy. So he was able to help students with fundamental and technical analysis and to do stock valuation and other things related to that. So we covered the three main pillars that we thought were relevant for us as students. So one, like most of us being international, we always want to be in good terms with everything related legal terms.
Yeah.
We are friends of the government. We like to be friends with them. Also, again, we wanted to learn from them. What I always say to Sahil and to our guest speakers that we bring, it's not learning from the company, and it's not learning specifically from their position, like the technicals they do. It's to learning from them. And that's how we approach our speakers. We know that you're a giant of the industry. You're a giant that has gone through a lot. And we want to learn that because as young students, and we're going to start our business career soon, we want to have this edge and have this knowledge that you went through that will allow us to reach at a level similar like yours. And I think this has worked like pretty good to bring speakers. Our speaker series has brought Dr. Robert Langer, co-founder of Moderna, Mr. Sushil Tuli, chairman of Leader Bank, Zach Brown, CEO of McLaren Racing.
I feel like I need to start attending some of your sessions. Can I join your group?
Yeah, of course. Otmar Zavnauer, former CEO of Aston Martin. Also, Jost Capito, CEO of Williams Racing Formula One. Kevin Demoff, Chief Operating Officer of the Los Angeles Rams, among other businessmen. And I think we are able to create good synergies with them because we're honest and we show them we don't care what you have. We don't care. We don't want to get something from you, just knowledge. We just want to be your friends to learn from you.
Appreciate the experiences you can get.
Exactly. So I think that has allowed us to create, like good synergies with them and good synergies with other students as well from the greater Boston area. So right now, if you ask me what's the club and what's like the biggest asset of the club, I think it's community.
Yeah.
We have students from more than 100 nationalities in the school. And I can assure you that within our club, we have more than 40 nationalities representing, So we know that that's going to give us an edge, and that's going to give us something that other student-run organizations don't have. So
now, at some point, you're going to graduate out of school. Do you remain involved with the group, or is there a succession plan where a current student has to take it over? Are you no longer going to be the co-presidents at some point going forward, or do you stay on and continue to maybe become, advisors or something in the group? How does that look going forward?
I think Sahil can start that because he graduated, but he's still part of the club, so you can kick us off on that.
Yeah, no, so after graduation, we have a board and, we have daily regular meetings every Monday?
Every
Monday, yeah. So they asked me, they're like, oh, so you're, tata bye-bye from the school? You want to still be part of the club? I'm like, yes, because I know it's such a big asset. I've learned so much within the communities that we build, and there's no way I'm going to leave that. So, I strongly hold my position as co-founder and alumni as well from the club. So I think that's the structure we wanted to set, that everyone that started this club was a integral member of the club. If he or she wants to be a part of the club, we have to have the succession plan. So, at that point, we started to think and we started to discuss about, the next batch of the board. And we started getting those people on board with us. Julius, Tim, Now we have
Yeah, we have we started recruiting freshmen as soon as the fall semester started.
So again, just like a real company, you have a succession plan.
Yeah. So, started to think about those things that's going to help the club to stay active and at the same time to catch up the bigger pace if, the founders are not involved. We'll have our jobs, we'll be busy. But we wanted to get the right people that had right vision and shared not an individual goal vision, the vision that, as an organization, as a club, we shared. So I think that was the key. And I think we have a good team to, even if we are graduated, I think there's a team of motivated people. There's a vision
to carry this on beyond yourselves.
Yeah, we know who are going to be the next co-presidents. We know, and we also gave them, the responsibility to start recruiting people for when it's their board now.
Yeah.
And again, we told them, we want determined people, we want resilient people, we want people that think outside the box and that get out of their comfort zone. If we have learned something from our guest speakers is that we have to go through the difficult path, we have to do the things that nobody wants to do, because in the end that's going to help you succeed and have an edge against other people that you're competing against. So we told them that, and again, we want determined people, and I like to say that we want people that have fuel on their veins, that they're energetic, ready to go. And
so a lot of obviously what you guys are doing and really promoting sort of future leadership, and I want to come back to that in a few minutes, but I want to go away from leadership for a minute and just kind of go to the past. And you guys are so impressive. The drive, the planning, having not just the vision for starting something, but understanding that you have to put certain pieces in place for it to work and everything. Where did you guys come up with this? Were you children and you were somehow shaped and somehow you fell into this fountain of motivation? How did you become the young adults that you are today?
I think we can owe it to our parents, respectively. My dad, I can say proudly that my father is a workaholic, and he likes to have, he doesn't have a work-life balance. He has a work-life harmony. So he always, instead of separating professional life from personal life, he integrated both. So since I was very young, I was always listening, to business conversations. He wanted me to learn from his meetings, so he took me to his business meetings. He was always, giving me the gentle nudges of, hey, you have to work, you have to learn, because one day you're gonna be a businessman. One day you will like to do this. So it's better if you start really young, and I thank him a lot for that. And yeah, I can say it's mostly because of my dad. He has given me these. It's hard to explain, this feeling, this sentiment of I like to work hard. I like to go through tough stuff. I like to go and go against what people say it's impossible or can't be done, or it's unlikely to happen. I like to do that. I think in this life we have to go big or go home. So
yeah.
Sahil, how about you?
Yeah, no, so pretty similar sentiment. I grew up in a family with plus 20 members. We all lived in the same house, but, had...
Different generations.
Yeah. So different houses, but they were all connected. And my father cousins, they started to, build a house together and build a business together as well. So I think that just gave me,
how
the
old were you at
importance
that?
of synergy.
How old were you when this was going on around you?
I born in that family. I was born within those big
That was just what was happening around you your whole life.
Exactly. And, it just gave me, growing up, it gave me a perspective that unity is everything. With those brothers coming together, forming a business, living together, nothing was impossible for them. They built a brand that wasn't just profitable, but had presence outside India. So, unity and synergies were as key words that I think I started to recognize when I came to Boston as well, that this is the way I think moving forward, you have to develop the sense that synergy is real, synergy exists, you have to find it, and it works for the greater good, and it just boosts up anything that you're planning to do. So growing up within that environment, I felt, I cannot, like Alejandro said, a lot to learn from my father. One thing I think, the biggest takeaway living with such family is humility. Humility just grows on you, and I think it's the best. I think the best thing to have as a leader, as a student, as a son, anything. I think with humility, you don't close the door for opportunities. You don't close the door for learning. I think if you tell yourself the more you know, the less the less minded you will be. And I think that was something I realized growing up within that family. So, kept that humility, learned from my father a lot about humility and being humble. And that's how I think life takes you, to different places when you are humble.
Yeah, I agree. Also, adding to that, like as he said, humility, you always have to understand and know that there is going to be always someone superior than you.
Yeah.
So you can't believe that you're the best, and you can't believe that you're untouchable. You have to say, okay, I need to keep working hard, because if not, someone else is gonna surpass me or take these that I want or land this job opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's like constant work, and remind yourself that you can lose everything in 1 second.
So you mentioned before, and obviously you both have an immigration story to tell. You obviously mentioned you were from Mexico and then from India. And you mentioned all of the international diversity that you have in your school, and also the number of international countries represented in your group. Do you find that there's any struggles related to that as immigrants coming in, to unique challenges that made it tough for you to pursue your education and careers? Or was this just you walked in and everyone else was international too, so you fit right in?
I think more than a challenge, I see it as an opportunity. Because if you're willing to go abroad, to get out of your comfort zone,
you instantly have a bigger view of the world.
Exactly. To live alone. To now you start to have to create a budget for yourself. Yeah. Besides school, I have to do a lot of other stuff related to life, and I think that gives you an edge. I like it because, let's say, when you're in classes with locals or with peers from other schools that are from the Boston area or from the country, I think you're more ready to go through some, let's say, struggles, like being alone in the beginning when you're new to a city, when you don't have friends, when you have to pretty much start from zero. So, yeah, honestly, I don't see like there is a specific challenge like, oh, well, because I'm an immigrant, I see something that's more of a challenge. So no, I see it as an opportunity, actually. It's like I'm ready to go. And
just
I'm
another
ready.
Chance for you to grab a hold of something and make the most of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, as an immigrant, you have limited time. And in a city like Boston, where you have all the tools, it's like this is your chance to do it. With limited times comes the pressure, and I think pressure is something that, we both like. And, with pressure, you have to perform, and with, all the tools. So students from Harvard that are succeeding in life, MIT, like Harvard, like Alejandro said, they were miles away. So if they could have done those things, I think as an immigrant, it doesn't stop you to do the same things, grab those opportunities and exploit them, because you have limited time. So, go for it, have open doors, be open to new opportunities. And I think, like Alejandro said, immigration is less than a challenge, but a motivator for us to go strong.
So we're going to take a bit of a turn here and go in a slightly different direction.
Yeah.
Lack of time. You guys are constantly busy. When you're not studying, you're working. When you're not working, you're doing the group. When you're not doing this, the other thing. What do you both do when you're not studying, working, or leading the investment group? Do you have any time left over for hobbies, passions? What drives you personally beyond everything we've talked about in the last half hour?
So for myself, it's motorsport, more specifically Formula One.
This is how you got all those contacts to come in for
Exactly.
the guest speakers?
Exactly. So when I was 2 years old, I don't know why, but my family saw that I was like hugely passionate about cars. So they took me to an IndyCar race in Mexico, and I fell in love. And then I started like this huge passion for Formula One. And I remember in 2015, Formula One was going to Mexico. So my dad, because of his business, had one of his business partners was organizing the Formula One Grand Prix in Mexico. And they invited me because they knew that I was such a big fan. And I was there, and I was like a kid in Disneyland, like the sound of the engines, the smell of the fuel, of the burnt rubber.
You get to go up close and personal.
Exactly. So I said, I want to have friends in this world. I want to be part of this world one way or another. So if I'm not a driver, I want to be part of this world.
Yeah, how come you're not a driver?
So I'll get back to you on that, But I started approaching people, introducing myself. I was 14, 15 years old.
I was going to say, you must have been really young, yeah.
So I started introducing myself. Hey, my name is Alejandro. I'm very passionate about the sport. And I showed how passionate I was because I really knew the sport, the technicals, regulations, who were the team owners, the sponsors. So I saw them and I was talking to them because if I saw who was the chief executive officer of the team, I knew who was him, and instead of going to the driver to ask for a picture, I went to him and speak to him and introduce myself. So I was able to make some really good friendships in the sport. And for example, Franz Tost, the team principal of Scuderia Alfa Tauri, he's one of my closest friends within the sport. And he has given me a lot of advice, because I see Formula One as one of the most challenging sports in the world, with a lot of stake on it, a lot of financials, politics. So him being ahead of a team, and if you want to say like a company, he has helped me a lot. He has given me a lot of pieces of advice. Then I met Sean Bratches. He was the managing director of commercial operations of Formula One when Liberty Media bought the company in 2017. And again, learn from him. Being friends, but hey, I want to learn from you. I want to be like a sponge, like learn and learn and learn. I saw him actually 2 weeks ago here in Boston. Really nice guy. And having the opportunity to learn from that people, while enjoying my passion that is Formula One. Yeah. So remember that I said, like this work-life harmony instead of balance.
Well, you started off by saying you can't take a vacation. It sounds like even when you have a hobby, you connect it right back to what you want to do.
Exactly. So that's what I like to do. So connect it back to the professional side of things. So when I go to Formula One, I know that I'm enjoying the racetrack, the cars, the drivers.
But also everything that goes into making that happen.
Exactly. But then I know I have to network. I know I have to meet people. I know I have to ask them about their personal and professional lives, and become their friends because their pieces of advice are so valuable. Yeah. Are priceless. And I know that I am where I am right now because of them. Like of course because of my family and my friends, but also because of their support. For example, I'm a summer analyst at Deutsche Bank in Wall Street, and I'm very, very lucky to be part of that culture, to be part of that family. And I always say that I am there in big part because of my friends from Formula One, because of what they have taught me and because of what I have learned from them. So for me, even my hobbies, I like to connect them to my professional life. So as I said, it's like a work-life harmony. So for me, everything...
It all blends together.
All blends together and everything becomes an opportunity.
Yeah. I specifically enjoy music. I play guitar and I sing. So I think whenever I have a time, I would play, I would learn new songs. That gives me a sense of calmness. Music has always helped me to stay motivated, to get off your overthinking zone and, think straight, make yourself calm. And other than that, I think specifically this year we started going to a lot of conferences, and personally I enjoyed doing that. Most of the conferences were on Sunday, so free times. Recently we both went to the Global Family Business Conference at Harvard, and I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was like the best Sunday spent ever, because
Yeah.
we literally got the opportunity to shake hands with Mr. Bill Ford,
Yeah.
and learn from him about Ford Motor Company succession, about his business as well. Along, not just that, but board members from Salvatore Ferragamo family,
Yeah,
Visconti
the
family.
Visconti family.
I've been inspired by him not to think a lot about work-life balance, and make a sense of it where you actually it blends in, and you're learning consistency. I think learning is huge, and you never have to stop learning. Yeah.
I think that's really unique because, I've heard a lot of people say that they love what they do because it doesn't feel like work or things like that. And it always sounds a little bit like a cliche.
Yeah.
And to hear it expressed, kind of the same concept in a slightly different way, what you're describing, where you're not saying that there's only one thing. There are more than one things, but to have that, I love the word harmony, right? To bring that together to where it's a place that's comfortable for you, and we all relax in different ways. It sounds much more relaxing to me to sit back and play some guitar. I don't play, but that sounds much more relaxing than running around and chasing down race team owners. But to have the passion and to find a way that connects back, I think that's really unique, and I love the way you put that. As we wrap up here, you guys have done so much already, and you're just only starting out really in your professional careers. You started this session just by talking about always looking forward, and that you noticed, Alejandro, you noticed Sahil because you thought he was forward-looking, and you yourself were forward-looking, and he noticed that in you. Are you looking ahead? Where are you guys going to be 10 years, 20, 30 years from now? Where do you see yourselves? And don't tell me you're not looking that far ahead. I know you are.
So, I think, obviously,
you're going to own an F1 team, right? This is your goal.
Inshallah.
I mean, that would be great, not gonna lie, but, I think it's good to plan ahead because you have to, but it can be very, very, very specific. And the reason for that is like a lot of things happen, An example is the pandemic.
Unexpected, changes everything.
Never imagine a pandemic's gonna hit and change the world pretty much in a span of a year. So what I like to say is that I just want to keep in the next 10, 20, 30 years to keep having the same drive and energy that I'm having right now. I want to work in a high performance and challenging industry that I know that I can grow severally, that I am going to continue learning day by day. And I also, I don't say a specific industry as well because you never know the opportunities that may come. So that's one thing. I never close the door to anything. I'm always open. So yeah, right now I enjoy banking. It's a huge passion for me, but you never know in the next years. But I just want to know. I just know that in the next 10, 20, 30 years, I want to continue, doing good networking, creating synergies from the ground up. Because, the best opportunities come from the most unexpected places. Yeah, so I want to continue doing that. And I see the club as part of that. For example, after attending the Global Business Conference, now we want to create another arm of the club that focuses on creating a network, an alumni network. And we said to the students, hey, most of you are from different countries, have family businesses. So let's create a network of like-minded individuals. And this is not going to pay off in the next 5 years. This is going to pay off in the next 30 years. Yeah. Because eventually, if we want to start a business or if we want to do something in whatever country, we're going to have a contact, that we're going to have someone with expertise in that country and with knowledge. So if we have a group of people with 40-plus nationalities, we are covered in 40-plus nationalities. Yeah. And that's what we see.
So you don't know where you're going, but you know how to get there.
I mean, hopefully it's the way to get there. We just know that we're just going to work tirelessly to achieve our goals and go through challenges and adversities to achieve our goals.
Yeah, same sentiment. I want to be a part of a goal that's bigger than an individual goal and a goal of an organization. Consistently working to learn and grow, be humble about all the successes that we're going to incur in future. There's a quote I want to mention, and it was mentioned in one of the books our board of director, Mrs. Priscilla Douglas wrote, Woke Leadership. And Mr. Sushil Thuli quoted that, I strongly believe that you can never stop learning if you want to become and remain successful. You can never simply rest on your past laurels and past success. You must always be willing to push forward and try something different. Your past successes won't matter if you stop learning. So I think consistently having an idea in your mind that you have to learn, this is not it, there has to be a next step, and look for a longer term picture. Don't stop that, don't think that this is just going to provide you short term happiness or satisfaction. Look for the bigger picture. And I think 30 years ahead, who knows, but I think a perfect, I'm going to use a F1 ideology. So a perfect lap exists. And when it comes to the time, I think we all want to be prepared to get that perfect lap. So be prepared for all the opportunities that are coming ahead of you.
Well, this has been amazing. You guys have inspired me. I had no idea what to expect. For us, this was a little bit outside the box. We've always had these conversations really revolve around Leader Bank. And this wasn't a conversation about banking. This wasn't a conversation about any products that we have. And to see the drive, the individual leadership for yourselves, the leadership for the folks coming after you, the way you've approached this and planning, I'm impressed. I thought this was a really good time. I look forward to seeing where you guys end up. I can't wait to see what's next. Thank you both so much for being here.
Thanks, great. Thanks for having us. A pleasure.
For more information on today's subject, visit leaderbank.com. In addition to past episodes, you can also find our corresponding blog entries for more insights. This podcast is a production of Leader Bank NA, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC, NMLS number 449250.